So right now we have this new vocabulary word, conjugate, but we don't really know what good it is yet. So let's take a look at this very first example, which is actually example 3. We can multiply this binomial by its conjugate. 1 plus the square root of 2 is my original binomial. So let's multiply by the conjugate and see what happens. Again, the conjugate is the same two terms, but a different sign in the middle. So 1 plus root 2 is my original, 1 minus root 2 will be my conjugate. So this is a FOIL problem. Note that it's two terms times two terms, so at first glance, FOIL, really difficult, right? Well, let's see what happens. The first two terms are a 1 and a 1. So 1 times 1 is just 1. I'm going to make those insides and outsides purple. The outside terms, 1 and a negative root 2. Well, 1 times negative root 2 is negative root 2. And then when I look at my inside terms are a root 2 and a 1. Well, square root of 2 times 1 is a positive root 2. And then when I jump over to my last two terms, the last two are going to be root 2 and negative root 2. Well, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4. But the square root of 4 is just 2. So if you want to save yourself a bit of writing, root 2 times root 2 is just 2. A positive times a negative makes that 2 and negative 2. So if you haven't seen it yet, let me draw your attention to the inside and outside terms. What's nice about multiplying a binomial by its conjugate, the middle terms cancel. The inside and the outside terms cancel one another out. We're left with a 1 minus 2, which is just negative 1. So when you multiply two conjugates together, it helps you get rid of radical terms. Note that this is just a whole number, negative 1. No radicals, nothing crazy. That's what conjugates are good for.